I think one of the most important vehicles to hit the market in Ireland in 2023 is what I have here today. It's a Ford Transit van, but it's the all-electric version. Let's have a look around it.
Brought to you by AA Approved Servicing. Book yours at aa.ie/servicing.
The reason I think this is so important is because of the amount of kilometres and the amount of work that it's actually going to do. Passenger cars in Ireland do 17,000 kilometres on average per year. This one, working vehicle like that could be out on the road 7 days a week doing 8, 10, 12, even more hours per day on the road. And it's things like this going all electric that will have a much bigger impact overall. One of the things that's kind of handy in a way is that it looks almost unrecognisable from the regular combustion counterparts. I mean, a few little differences here and there, some of the colours, the accent, the highlights, and the main one being the charging flap that goes just there instead of your fuel filler cap around the side. Now it has excellent safety features and some great tech on board. 16-inch steelies just to start there, but this is a working vehicle, so we just want those to be as rugged as possible. Black plastic mirrors, but just under here you'll notice a little camera there. That's 360 cameras littered all around. There's great safety assist features in this, and the reversing cameras are just brilliant. Now there is a key just there, but obviously you're going to use the fob keyless start and stop inside. Doesn't have a door on this side here, so we're just working off the one at the back and on the other side as well. The Transit comes in 25 different variations. So we have one of the larger ones here today, but you can get this with 3 different lengths. You can get it with 2 different heights. You can have it as a chassis cab, seats in the back. It really is adaptable for whatever you need it for your business. And just because it's electric, they haven't compromised on that. They want to give you the choice and as much functionality as possible. Around the back, and it's still a rugged working vehicle, but we do get our reversing cameras. There's actually 2, so one just here and then another one up there, and a few lights just built in underneath to help at night time getting packages out maybe early in the morning or something like that. Nice big open doors, meaning that you can get pallets in there if you want to, and of course these do open up all the way around. So great space there in terms of getting your packages in and out. Of course, you can kit out the inside as you want. We've got this nice rugged kind of hard plastic flooring there at the moment, but you can kit it out inside as you want. Obviously, payload is hugely important when it comes to commercial vans like this. And the great news is that Ford have gone to really great lengths to change around the e-Transit. What a lot of manufacturers do when they're making an electric van is they just take out the fuel tank, the combustion engine, shove a load of batteries and electric motor in and go, there you go, that's what you get. And as a result is reduced functionality with the van, let's just say. With Ford, they've gone to great lengths to change things around a little bit. So, few crucial differences in here. Now the diesel engine that was up front, that's no longer there. We've now got a rear mounted electric motor. So this is a rear wheel drive van. But another thing that they've done is they've changed the suspension setup. So we've now got independent suspension with coil springs here at the back. And that means that our payload in this e-Transit is 1,758 kilos, or if you go for the chassis cab version, just a fraction over 2,000 kilos. So this has full functionality. We don't have a few hundred kilos of batteries stuffed in there that's taken away from the payload that you can put in. And that's going to be really important to some trades and businesses in particular who need to put a lot of weight in the back of this. A great feature with Ford, and unfortunately we don't have it on the spec that we have here today, there's a little panel just here, Ford Pro Power, and what it does is, and actually you can just see the wiring sockets there where you could hook it up, but you can draw power back out of the battery, the big battery that's built in to the van, and you have a few little sockets just here so you can power your tools or something like that. And it's a great little feature to have for certain trades, for certain businesses who need power when they're out on a job. So you don't have to bring along a generator with you, or you don't have to try to find or ask, can I run an extension cable into someone's window or something like that. You've got power just there to bring with you anywhere in the world, and that can actually put out up to 2.3 kilowatts. We have to talk money for a moment because these are working vehicles. They have to be making a profit for whoever owns them. Now the bad news is that yes, the electric version is a good bit more expensive than the diesel. We haven't quite got the grant scheme figured out properly here in Ireland, and we'll just leave it at that for now. So you can get into a diesel version of this for just over 43,000 or thereabouts. The entry for the e-Transit is 67,000 euros, which is a big jump. And the test model that we have here today is 72. It's got a few little extras in it. So yes, it is significantly more expensive, but that really may be worth it for businesses for a few different reasons. So one is that Ford tell us it's about 40% lower running costs in terms of maintenance over the lifetime of this van. That can make a big difference. The other one is that this runs on battery power, and to put electricity into that battery is a lot cheaper than its diesel equivalent. For some companies, they just want to show off their green credentials. They want to lessen their environmental impact and show their customers that they care. Having an electric van like this is a great way to do that, and really does help offset some of the extra costs in terms of their brand image and the impact that will have on their bottom line eventually. Gone is the tank of diesel, and this is where we fill this one up with electricity. So two ways of charging it, obviously there's AC and DC. Now on AC, it's good news, it goes up to 11.3 kilowatts. So you're looking at about an 8-hour charger on your standard kind of home charger if that's what you're using. Find one of the faster on-street ones and that cuts it down to in and around 5-6 hours, which is great news. Then on DC, it's really good for a van. 115 kilowatts. So you're looking at that kind of 10 to 80% charge, if you find the right charger in Ireland, that is, in about 35 to 40 minutes. So really good news there. And a couple of little lights just there to show you how the charge is getting on. But of course, you can set timers. So if you want to take advantage of cheap night rates, you just plug it in when you leave the van off in the depot in the evening. Then at a certain time in the night time, it'll just automatically switch on and charge up for that set period of time. The e-Transit comes with two options in terms of powertrains, motors. So we've got 135 kilowatt or another motor that's about 185 kilowatts. We've got the less powerful 135, but that is still packs a punch. So we're about to merge onto the motorway here. We're 55 or 60 now. Let's floor it. 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. This thing really shifts. Pretty impressive pickup. So we've got just over 410 Newton meters of torque, and then those two different electric motors. So you're looking at about 180 or 260 horsepower, depending on which one you go for. So this really does not lack at all in terms of getting you around up hills. You've got some heavy load in the back. Yeah, this will get you up to speed pretty easily. I love the adaptive cruise control in the e-Transit. So as we're ticking along on the motorway here, I will just click on cruise control there and set. And I've just kind of slowed down slightly for that. I can see that there's a truck ahead anyway. So it's set at 93 there. If I flick this button, it goes up to 100. Now I feel the van moving me on. I'm up to speed. I'm up to 100. Flick it up again. Goes up in ones, or a long press brings it up to 10. So I have it up to 110 kilometers there. And as I approach the truck in front, yeah, I feel it slowing back down now. Here we are back to 100. And I haven't touched the brake pedal or anything like that. It's adaptive cruise control. And then there's another button here where I can choose the distance that I want to set between me and the truck in front. So there's 4 different levels. At the moment I have it on 1, which is bringing me close enough up to that truck in behind. So if I click it again, brings it out to 4. And I can feel the van slowing down just to give that bit of distance in front. It really is a great little feature. And the fact that you've got the electric powertrain means it's just that little bit quieter. You just cruise along. And then whenever I want to, I just click on my indicator, I steer out, and the van will bring me back up to speed again. So let's talk range for the e-Transit, and it's the first question you always get asked anytime you've got any sort of electric vehicle. What's the range? So we've got, back to basics here, 68 kilowatt hour battery. Now that gives you a WLTP range figure of 314 kilometers. So that's pretty good. We're quite happy with that, but we know that the WLTP cycle can be optimistic. Now you will get 314 if you drive this carefully. So for example, I've had it now, done a few hundred kilometers in it, and it's giving me the stats here. I've done 24 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So that translates to a range, as I've been driving it, of just short of 300. It's about 290 kilometers, which is pretty good. I'm really impressed with that. But I would say motorway trips in winter, you know, kind of a worst case scenario, I think you're dropping down to that 200 kilometer figure in terms of range. But overall, if you're just looking for a kind of a realistic Irish weather dependable range, I think you're talking about that 240, 250, 260 kilometers thereabouts. Pessimistic 200, drive it really carefully, and you will crack the 300 out of it. We've had a few vans on the channel over the last few months, a couple of electric ones, but a few diesel ones as well. Also, you know, we've all rented a van just when we're moving house and stuff like that. And they tend to be diesels, not particularly refined, manual. So in comparison to those, this electric Transit is just a dream to drive. Now, I've driven the Ford Mustang Mach-E, an all-electric SUV by Ford, obviously, and that was, of course, much more comfortable and better tech than this. But for a van, this is just incredibly comfortable. You really can't describe to people until they get out of a diesel van and get into one of these what it's like. And there's one main difference. Do you know what? There's two or three, actually. The first one is that it's an electric drivetrain, so we've really only got two gears, and that's forward and reverse. So is it automatic? Well, yeah, it's automatic in the sense that you don't have any gears to change around. You don't have to do anything. And that makes such a difference. I remember making a video with a courier company and interviewing a couple of the van drivers as they were thinking about going electric, just to see what their thoughts were. And they said some of them used to get repetitive strain, like in their left knee, as they were just on and off the clutch all day. So you don't have any of that. It's just the accelerator. And I don't have to brake either. So I can see myself coming up behind a car here on the motorway, and I'm carrying 100, and then I ease off down to 90, down to 80. This guy's actually going really slow, 70, down to 70 there. I didn't even have to brake at all. And then when you want to move on again, you just press the accelerator. And it really just makes driving so much easier. And that braking that I just showed you there, it's called regenerative braking. So I've got, now the motor will do that anyway, but also I've got an L button just here on the gear selector. And that increases the level of regen. So as you saw just there, I could, on a motorway, just take my foot off, go from 100 down to 90, 80, and in city driving, that makes such a difference. When you're in bad traffic and you're, you know, in your manual diesel and you're into first, you're up to second as you get to 15 kilometers an hour, someone brakes in front of you, clutch again, and you're just up and down through the gears, you're constantly pedaling away, and you don't have to do this at all in the electric van. You just modulate the accelerator. The only time you're really going to have to brake is an emergency stop, or if you need to come to a complete standstill at the traffic lights. And then this has auto hold button down here. So once you do stop, you can just take your foot off the accelerator and the van will stay steady. And then you just press the accelerator when you want to move on again. I love the way the suspension is set up in this as well. We touched on it in terms of cargo capacity. So because they changed around the suspension, you can now maintain that cargo capacity, which is great. But it just makes it a better drive as well. Those little ramps and housing estates, when you're handling, just going around corners, having an independent coil suspension like that really does help with the ride. A little bit more stability, I feel like, as well, because I drove this through the country roads one day and it just felt a little bit more stable. You get less of that springing effect as you take little bumps and undulations in the road, and yeah, I think it makes a bit of a difference, all right. You're never going to buy this to rally it around, but it's nice to know that, yeah, it drives a little bit better. On a few different occasions with the van, Ford have gone farther than simply just swapping out the drivetrains and saying, oh, that's an electric van, away you go. And one of the things that they've done is they've included this fantastic touchscreen, full colour, really good definition. Now, I had the Ford Mustang Mach-E a few weeks ago and I was just blown away by it. Just hugely impressive. This doesn't go as far as that. It doesn't have some of the same features, but it's still really, really impressive. So I've got wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, which is great to have, especially for a lot of working people where you're in and out of the van. You don't have to keep plugging it in and out. It'll just connect up itself, which is great. But you get great functionality out of it. There's a huge amount of settings. You can program the van to charge at certain times of night. It really is brilliant. And when you want to toggle between the user interface that comes with the Ford or Android Auto, it's simply just you press the home button there and I'm back into the Ford system. I can get to my settings, my features, apps. It's just dead handy. And then when I want to go back, I press apps, Android Auto, and there it goes, picks it up again. Just past an AA rescue van, picking someone up on the motorway. Fair play to them. So yeah, it's all integrated just there. I've got permanent access to all my climate control functions. I've got a heated windscreen. So when you come out on that cold winter's morning, you can also connect up with a mobile app. It's got the modem in it for connectivity. It really is just it's just brilliant, the functionality that it's got. Then you've got those parking cameras as well, and they're brilliant. So you've got cameras on each side up at the front, one facing forward, and another camera at the back. So when you're reversing, or simply now, if I wanted, I just press that camera button, and in low speeds, it will show up the camera. But the visibility is great. And it's the same with the mirror up here. So obviously there's no mirror because that's a bulkhead behind me there. I can't see out. So the camera, it's got really good resolution, and this screen is excellent. So there's a car behind me. God, it must be I'd say it's 10 meters, 15 meters behind my wing mirror here. And I was able to pick out the reg plate on this just there. Just goes to show you how good that is. And it's still decent at nighttime as well. I drove this car at nighttime, and yeah, much better than I expected. I have a very functional driver's display here behind the steering wheel. So I was trying to choose a word to describe this, and I'm going to go with functional. So it doesn't look great. A lot of modern vehicles now are coming with it, just a nice screen there. So I've got a couple of analog style dials. The gauge for what was the fuel tank, now is now your battery, but it doesn't tell you the percentage. You got to go into the menu here. It's just a dial, so I think it's roughly half at the moment. But I can still do a lot, so it's quite functional. I've got a gauge on the left that's showing me the power I'm using as I'm accelerating now up to 50% power. If I take my foot completely off, it goes back into the green and shows me that I'm regenerating power. So by slowing the van down, I'm recharging the battery pack. On the right then is my speed. And then in the middle, you've got various bits of information. So I've got up the trip computer at the moment showing my average speed, consumption, how far I've gone. But I've got a nice little switch just here on the steering wheel. So if I press that, I can change around the trip computer. I can toggle through. So I can have various different shortcuts. It's showing me the navigation, my media, but then again, you're just going to use the screen here for a lot of that. So yeah, decent functionality just there. There's a huge amount of storage in here. Everywhere you look, every little bit of space they've used. So we've got storage under the seat, which is a great place to put your charging cables or just a little bag. Obviously you've got the glove box, but I've got a cup holder up here. I've got pouches down by the side of the door. There's another one built in down there. I've got loads of storage up the front here where you put your diary, your papers, whatever you need. Storage all up the top up here as well. It's everywhere. It can fold down this, so we've got two cup holders there, little strap just to hold in some paperwork. It's great to have. So overall, we're really impressed with the E-Transit. Very, very good vehicle. It's got great functionality. It'll take a good payload. There's good size inside, great adaptability with 25 variations. It drives so much better than its diesel counterparts. So much more powerful and faster. The tech inside is really, really good. Great safety assist, having adaptive cruise control. The cameras, really is an impressive vehicle overall. Good range in it. Also charges very, very well. So yeah, it's a good showing by Ford. Fair play to them for stepping up the game in terms of electric vans on the market in Ireland. And best of luck to them.
Brought to you by AA Approved Servicing. Book yours at aa.ie/servicing.